going to be one hell of a race. You're preparing your mind to be strong, not to give up. You prepare yourself, no matter what, you will do that.
I know I'm not a runner. I know I'm not passionate about running. I know this is not something I do on a daily basis. But what I do enjoy is a challenge.
I have immense passion for running. So the desire to conquer every obstacle made me run.
What is it about adventure that sets the pulse racing? The rush of adrenaline when one pushes oneself out of the comfort zone is addictive. That is why humankind puts the body through the rigor and challenge of overcoming obstacles, crawling through mud and scraping through barbs out of choice. Thousands of people gathered at the outskirts of Delhi to put their bodies to the test. Some in a bid for ultimate glory, and others to test their bodies and minds at this one-of-a-kind race.
I was asked to stand in the front of the queue or the starting line, and you know, I wasn't really nervous because once again, you know, I was competing against myself.
When the race starts, for good 200-300 meters, there's nothing. So, you know, you're still anticipating, you know, what is next.
So much competitive pressure around. I mean, in this, there was some element of aggression as well. Everybody wanted to do best, and everybody wanted to reach the obstacle first.
I was anticipating the obstacle before it came. You know, you could see it. You know, you're running, certain obstacles were already there in a couple of bends because it's a wide field, so you could obviously have a visual of what your next obstacle is coming. So you were already thinking ahead.
I was not expecting obstacles like that.
So I'm a bit of a sadist in our team. Everybody tells me to tone it down, tone the obstacles down at the level of difficulty. But I always like to present a challenge for everybody who wants to be a part of the race. I think one of the high points for anybody who finishes a run is the fact of achieving something by going through a lot of pain.
We ensure that all of us, before test the obstacles, we complete the whole course. The idea is for us to get a sense of how difficult or easy the run is, and also to make sure all the precautions, all the safety measures are in order.
Jumping across the walls looked a lot easier than it was. The obstacles from a distance looked, you know, doable, and as we ran the course, it became harder and harder.
Running on hard and uneven surfaces obviously has its challenges.
You know, you're in that hot sun beating down on you, you've done a little bit of a run, and then suddenly you come across a body of water, and you're literally, you know, lying on your back, pulling yourself across that body of water, muddy water as it may be. However, it's a, you know, it cools you down, it hydrates you. At the start of that hurdle, you know, people trying to get in because it's one at a time. So that was something that, you know, I didn't expect. So pushing your way through the queue, etc. People were aggressive. You know, it was the beginning of the race. Everyone wanted to sort of, you know, get to the finish line before, you know, the other person. So there was a lot of aggression in that sense. Come on!
crisp, comfortable sun felt way more intense when running, and the difficult terrain made things even tougher.
Initial, probably the first 5 obstacles, I was very anxious. Okay, I'm not going to be able to do it. I hope nobody's going to push me, because they were very challenging.
The obstacles needed not just strength and speed, but also balance. This may not look that hard, but one misstep and you'll be as flat as a flat tire. The only upside to falling off this beam was that the water below cooled you down a little. The treacherous hold proved treacherous for some, while others tiptoed their way out of it.
And I was thinking, okay, I don't think I can do this. This is really unfair. We girls can't do it.
Meanwhile, up ahead, all hell broke loose.
They had the net, which we climbed up. That was actually the riskiest and probably the scariest obstacle that I did.
I could see people really on top of each other, and the net was out of shape by the time I probably had hit it. And I was thinking, okay, I'm going to get there, but do you think you can make it when you come down?
There was fear, definitely, climbing up the net, just because, people were knocking people around. In fact, when I was rolling on the net, my head got knocked by somebody's foot.
I was nervous that, fine, it's about, conquering and covering all of that, but it's also about safety. I want to finish this run. I don't want to get injured.
Mentally, you've got to be strong and prepare yourself to do it and to complete something like this. So, again, for me, it was a lot of mental training. When I went in there, I went in with the thought in my mind that I've got to complete this, and my body's not going to give up till I complete this.
It's like 5 seconds, you have so many emotions, you're so overwhelmed with it. And in all of that, you have to think of a strategy. So what you have to do is assess the obstacle, you have to watch what others are doing, and you have to kind of pick up the skill and get onto it. There is no time.
Crossing obstacles needed not just physical strength, but also a strong and calm mind.
I saw a lot of intensity among my group, and I knew that everybody is very competitive. There I realized that you had to move, the momentum had to be pretty quick, because I saw a lot of people falling into the water because they were trying to grab one bar. You had to keep the movement consistent, and I saw that by a gentleman in front of me, which he cleared it very. So I moved from one end to the other, starting off with my stronger hand, which is my right side, and I cleared it pretty quickly. In fact, that was one of my fastest obstacles that I cleared.
I took the easy way out. I was just like, you know what? I'm going to drop now. I did about 5 bars, 5 more to go. I just dropped myself into the water, walked. I guess I needed that, hydration at that point in time, and that's exactly what I did. Jumping across big sort of ditches of mud was simple. If you fell inside it, there was a very thick sort of mud that caught your foot and almost held you down. So you had to be careful of that.
That's my weak point. I'm not very good with long jumps. So the last one, I was in the mud, water. So I was telling the guy, I don't think I can make it. He said, but you have to attempt it. I said, it's going to be an abortive attempt, but I will try.
Just past the midpoint of the circuit, contestants were stretching the limits of their bodies and minds.
like an eye-opener to your ability. I thought I'm going to be just drained out and, oh fine, and I'll be able to do some sprints in between. No, I was not able to do sprints. I have to be very honest. I've done marathons, which are long-distance runs, challenging, your stamina and endurance. But this was not just focusing on one category. It involves upper body strength. It involves good balance, good stability. It involves a lot of speed as well. So I think the experience was totally different than what I actually thought it's going to be.
Coming up next, the contestants are faced with barbs and mud. Will the heat and exhaustion make it impossible to overcome these obstacles?
You were worried about getting caught in the barbed wire or cutting yourself, and yet you didn't want to go too low because you didn't want, sort of muddy water in your mouth. So it was, it was a challenge, but it was exciting because you could see the finish line.
And find out what goes into the making of an event like Devil's Circuit.
Why don't we bring something to India that's never actually been brought here before?
Devil's Circuit is an obstacle course like no other. Abhishek, Sanjay and Karishma began this race with tremendous energy and enthusiasm.
Mentally, you've got to be strong and prepare yourself to do it and to complete something like this. So again, for me, it was a lot of mental training. When I went in there, I went in with the thought in my mind that I've got to complete this, and my body's not going to give up till I complete this.
But some obstacles were almost too much. Almost. What does it take to build a circuit that tests the body, but not push you so far that it does any damage?
Concept that actually came to us was actually a form of obstacle running, and one of the things that we were very particular about is why don't we bring something to India that's never actually been brought here before, and that sort of gave way to the idea of Devil's Circuit. People kept associating this form of running to a marathon, which was difficult in itself.
The best analogy that we could come up with was, you've seen action movies, you've seen all these heroes perform, these commander type movies perform these very cool, very macho kind of stuff.
We actually engaged with ex-commandos from the Indian Navy, who got together with us, and we created this concept.
Once people understood what we were trying to create, it was remarkable how many people came on board and how quickly that happened.
We found people, such as the 3C company, to come on board and say, we're with you, for multiple editions, not just one.
This is great, this is crazy, and this is part of 3C philosophy. It's absolutely lovely to see so much youth involved in this. In fact, 3 of us wanted to take part, but we are underage, so we couldn't take part. But really, this is a great initiative by the Devil's Circuit, and we all be very, very proud to be part of this.
They were natural dips in the ground. It was completely overgrown with weed and amazing flora that I don't even know the names of. So it took us about 6 weeks to actually take that piece of land and create it into a venue for a Devil's Circuit run.
Even though the obstacles are difficult, we try to mitigate all the risks in it. We actually factor everything, like the depth of the pit underneath the obstacle, or how much amount of mud or slush should be present, or what's the height of the barbed wire from the ground. So we make sure that it's challenging and safe as well.
In the heat of competition, the only thing the runners could think of was the finish line.
For me, running is a mental exercise as opposed to a physical exercise. Yes, it requires a lot of physical strength. However, mostly it's a mental exercise for me. I'm running mostly in my head all the time. So, I didn't at any given point in time think that I'm going to stop, my body's going to collapse. And I think I just said, I've got to do this, I've got to finish it.
When you're actually out there and you mentally focus, that alertness, you just keep doing it. You don't know. I mean, I did not even think how I actually did it. When I finished the run, I was like, really? Did I do those jumps, like 6 feet wooden plank? Did I actually jump over them? And I did that, and I did all 4 of those without falling.
It was nearing the end of the circuit. Exhaustion is too close.
The heat factor was something which was, I think, an added obstacle by God, in this whole scheme of things.
Crawling on my elbows in muddy water with barbed wire right above my head, something that I've never done before, obviously, and it was something that was different because, you know, you were worried about getting caught in the barbed wire or cutting yourself, and yet you didn't want to go too low because you didn't want, you know, sort of muddy water in your mouth. So it was, you know, it was challenging, but it was exciting because you could see the finish line.
This obstacle where we had mud and water and some papayas on the top, and we had to like crawl. So my hair got stuck there. That moment was really funny. I was thinking, okay, I'm stuck, and I'm looking around like, maybe somebody can help. How mean is that? Everybody's just going. I managed to take that out, but it did take me about 10 seconds, and that's a lot in a running event. And I was thinking, okay, fine, you know, I'll cover that up. But that was really hilarious.
You know, when I got into that mud, that cold mud, I mean, it was heaven. Trust me. You know, I could have stayed there for a long time.
But before the finish line was the awesome pool of shrill. Coming up next, the finish line is just one obstacle away. But can our runners' bodies and minds hold out till then?
When you see that finish line and you know you're almost home, you know, there's nothing like, sort of nothing stopping you, and you're just sort of going for it.
Even the cool-off tub, I remember I slipped into it. I didn't realize how deep it was. I thought it was just knee-length.
Only one way to find out. As the runners reach the midpoint of the circuit, their bodies have been pushed to limits of endurance, but the charged atmosphere keeps them going.
When you're actually out there and you mentally focus, that alertness, you just keep doing it. You don't know. I mean, I did not even think how I actually did it.
Will that be enough to take them all the way to the finish line?
I didn't at any given point in time think that I'm going to stop, my body's going to collapse, nothing. I just said, I've got to do this, I've got to finish it.
That pool was about, I think, in length 30 feet and about 4.5 feet deep. And it had a lot of ice and ice water in it, and you had to kind of either jump over them or go beneath. So you had to submerge yourself into that water, or you can jump. It was really wow, I think, because we had ran, we were drained out, it was hot, we were thirsty, mud, everything there, and you just jumped into the pool. It was a great feeling. I think I was just so fresh that I could start my run again.
Even the cool-off tub, I remember I slipped into it. I didn't realize how deep it was. I thought it was just knee-length, but it was obviously a lot deeper. And honestly, I mean, given the choice, I would have stayed there for a longer time. It was very, very hard.
When you see that finish line and you know you're almost home, you know, there's nothing like, sort of nothing stopping you, and you're just sort of going for it. And I don't think at that point in time there's a lot of thoughts going through your head other than there's the finish line, that's where I'm headed.
So as soon as you finish, the feeling of accomplishment and the feeling of that I actually did it, I conquered each obstacle successfully, I was happy.
Despite all the competition and intensity, Devil's Circuit brought the participants closer. By the end, they shared a camaraderie that comes from going through challenges together.
It's one of the races where I see camaraderie. I have been to so many marathons here and there, and I do see people helping each other, but here is a place where people give up their race to make sure the fellow runner with him also clears an obstacle.
The enthusiasm which we see, which we never expected at all, right, of the participation, about the cheerleaders, about everybody and all, I think it's a great event, and really best of luck to Devil's Circuit to take it to the next level.
Ricky Ranjit, 29 minutes and 19 seconds, give it up! Kakkar is in 38 minutes and 40 seconds. Woo! Give it up, give it up!
It was just the spirit of enjoyment, fun. People just let go. People had a ball. You had people dancing.
It's right there, Devil's Circuit, everybody. A big round of applause.
No one is here to see how good or bad you are. It is a participation, is the mindset. Once your mindset changes towards fitness, you know, that is a big step itself.
I did not have, like, I would say, even 50% idea that it's going to be so tough to run something like this. The mental and the physical challenge involved in these kind of competitive events makes me do them more and more. For me, this run was 10 on 10. It was a real challenge to your functional abilities, your stamina, and your speed and power.
You just got to keep talking yourself through it. You got to keep telling yourself, okay, you can do this. There's a challenge. It's good for you. You can do it.
A race like Devil's Circuit begs the question, why do we put our bodies through such rigor? For glory? Sure, but also for our view of ourselves. It's about resetting the limits that we draw for us. It's to prove that we can, if we want, push ourselves beyond the point where we think we can go on no more. It's about learning that we finish what we start.
Thank you for the Devil's Circuit. Crushing you.
One more time, NDTV rocks.